many of you might have saw the video that Phil from the Advice Show put out about the bait truck that they put in Chicago with Nike. I just want you to know I grew up in the hood, and I have told many of you this in my videos. I grew up in the city of Philadelphia. I grew up in the hood, okay, period. And baiting is actually something I have seen in the hood my whole life. See, a lot of people are not familiar with this. If you don't live in the Black neighborhood, you never seen how they bait. And let me just say this one thing before I start getting into what I'm about to show you. This is just further proof that there's not a lot of crime going on in the urban areas. Anytime your cops got to bait you into a crime, that should be enough proof for you to understand crime is not high in these Black neighborhoods. Otherwise, you would not have to bait a person into a crime. And I believe baiting should be illegal. They should not be setting up people in a community to commit a crime. But let me just get into the things they do. Now, when I was growing up in the city of Philadelphia, the cops would set up what we would call bait cars. They would leave a running car on the street with the keys still in the ignition. Sometimes they would leave the door open on this running car, and then somebody would walk past, see the car was empty, the car is running, jump in the car to steal it. Then the cops would be in an unmarked car, not far away. And as soon as the person would start driving away in the car, they get them for auto theft and the person would go to jail. I don't believe any baiting should be going on. It should be illegal to do that in any community, but this is primarily done in the Black community. I've seen this myself growing up in the hood. Or it'll be winter time. They'll have the car sitting on the street running empty, and somebody will walk past, look in the car, realize the car is empty, the doors are unlocked, and jump in there, and then here comes the cops, pulling the person over and arresting them for auto theft. But that's the kind of baiting that goes on in the hood as well. Now, they also, ladies and gentlemen, bait with bikes. I have seen this too. The cops will set up a bait bike, and usually they'll put it near other bikes or put it like this on a pole or some type of sign, and the bike won't be chained up. It'll just be leaning on a pole or on a bike rack with no chain on it. And somebody will walk past, and again, only done in the hood, somebody will walk past and see the bait bike, jump on the bike, and the cop will be in an unmarked car, like over here. And as soon as the person ride away on the bike, they will stop them and arrest them. Okay, some of you grew up in the hood know exactly what I mean. You know exactly what I mean. So again, the cops baiting people into committing a crime, again, that should not be allowed. Shouldn't be allowed. And in many cases, the bikes will even have a sticker on it. And the person taking the bike usually will miss the sticker on the bike. This is a bait bike, and it'll have, little bars on it, signifying, you take this bike, you go to jail. Again, this should be illegal. But yes, these stickers do exist on the bike. And those of you that watch cop shows, you might have even seen them set up bait cars for people to steal. I do remember seeing it years ago, but I haven't watched those shows in a long, long time. But there have been a few episodes where they would leave a bait car on the street. And they also do this with motorcycles as well. They'll have bait motorcycles on the street. Same circumstance, but mainly done in Black neighborhoods. So if crime is so bad in those areas, then why do you got to bait people? This shouldn't be happening not only in Chicago, but anywhere in the country. This should not be happening at all, y'all. But this is how shady the police force is in this country. America's got the worst policing on the face of the earth. Policing is horrible. And it should be called out when you see things like this happening. But they will try to justify this stuff, and it's not justifiable. Not at all. And if it wasn't about race, then they wouldn't be all picky and choosy where they set this stuff up. This stuff is mainly going on in the hood, y'all. They were doing this decades ago. This just didn't start. So now we have the story that recently came out about bait trucks with Nike shoes. Okay, this one is in Inglewood. But they do this, ladies and gentlemen. I know the stories came out about Chicago, but they actually do this all over Black neighborhoods across the country, where they'll put bait trucks out on the street, make sure the merchandise in the truck can be seen so that people would come up and steal the merchandise, and the cops will jump out of their car and arrest you for theft. And you can see right here, did Chicago police bait people to steal? And this one, the one that I showed you, this was in Inglewood. So this happens everywhere. It really does. But again, if crime is so awful in Black areas, why do cops have to keep coming into Black neighborhoods and bait everything up for people to steal in order for them to make an arrest? See, this is why you should not believe everything the media puts out. And one thing I can honestly say, at least on social media, I believe is way better at putting these stories out than mainstream media ever will be. Mainstream media is not on top of their game. They will not put this out. But one thing I do notice, many of the YouTube community, especially the Black community, we are pretty hip to this kind of stuff. We know it goes on all the time. So, ladies and gentlemen, all I have to say to you is your relatives and your friends that live in the hood, just make sure, many of them do know, but just make sure they know about how they're constantly trying to bait you into a crime, and then in the same token, trying to insist that you are the most violent person, and it just simply ain't adding up here. Okay. This is why many of us that do these stories, we know better. We know better. And it's just like, they even go as far as using sex crimes as well. They'll put an undercover cop out on the street as a prostitute, and then anybody that tries to solicit them, they get busted. I mean, they have all kinds of bags of tricks to bait you into a situation where you end up behind bars or end up paying all kinds of fines and crap over bogus shit to the police department, all kinds of fines, and keep you paying money out of pocket. And all I can say to you, families, just be careful out there, especially if you live in these areas. We know that these folks go on the street in their jobs every day with that us against them attitude. They're not really for the community. How do you say you are for a community, or you or even working with the people in the community when you're doing this kind of stuff? You're not working with the community and you don't care about anybody there. And again, I don't believe a bunch of white cops should be patrolling Black neighborhoods, because they come with way too many biases about race, and they're not going to do the right thing when they're patrolling the streets around these people. They need to go in their own areas and patrol it. But they won't do this because they want to have complete control over Black people. Period. And that's what it's all about. Dominating us constantly all the time. That's why they're not going to leave the hood. They're going to keep doing this sort of thing over and over and over. But please tell me what you think. Please leave your comment and subscribe. Don't forget to hit on the notification bell. And I will see you on the next video. Peace, family.